Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, December 9th, 2024. We're almost at the end of the year, and Christmas is just, what, a couple weeks away? Man, that's, it feels like, it doesn't feel like it's been that long ago that we were in the middle of summer and complaining about how hot it was. And now here we are in mid December, and it's raining. That's okay though. It's warm. You know, last few weeks we've had some pretty cold weather. I don't like it. Warm weather is fine with me. Even with a little rain, I'll deal with it. Um, I posted a video on my Patreon account yesterday, and I talked about some things going on around the shop. So there's obviously, I try to keep up with everything that I'm doing with the Mustang stuff, but I've also worked on other vehicles this past week. And one of those was a 2008 Dodge Durango that had a antifreeze leak. That was fun. Had to dig pretty deep into that one to get it fixed. But the nice part about it was the weather was cooperative. It was mid 50s, so actually it was pretty good. No rain. I was able to be outside of the garage because, as you can see, I have my blue wall up right now on the garage door, and that's for insulation purposes. And I was able to go outside and work on that. Did a couple of oil changes, maintenance stuff that I do along with everything else. Oh, and I did a brake job. I also did a brake job. But I am making progress on the Cobra Jet. So today I went back in the booth, the paint booth where I have the car, and I started going over some things, and I've been working on getting the deck lid fitting correctly and trying to build the transition of the deck lid to where the peak matches the extensions, the quarter panel extensions. So that's always a thing with these aftermarket parts. We all know that they're not made exactly the same in most cases. Sometimes they are, they're pretty close, but sometimes they're not. So I'm taking steps to fix that, and I'm working on a video in that same process. So anyway, that's a brief update on where we're at in the shop, and I hope everybody is safe and sound and ready for Christmas. I'm never ready for Christmas. I don't really do much for Christmas. My wife handles that, and I just stay out of the way for the most part. Somebody asks me what I want, and I'm just like, I want peace and harmony. That's all I ask for. World peace. How about that? Get me that, and I'll be happy. Okay. So if you're just checking in and checking out the channel, I do restoration videos primarily on classic Mustangs. Also some Camaros. I've done work on Chevelles. I've done work on 55, 56 Chevys. Old videos, I don't even know if I have any of those. I have some maybe picture videos of 72 series, 67 to 72 Chevy trucks. I've actually done quite a few of those. My background is I grew up my dad had a junkyard, and I'm an aircraft mechanic, and I've also had a body shop for about 7 years. And I recently posted a video about the 70 fastback or sport roof that we did at the shop back in 2011. And I was trying to talk about that in how when I first started making videos, and that was about the time period, 2010, 11, I started making these videos in effort to support the body shop. I wanted people to notice what we were doing and, maybe get some business and try to grow the shop from there. And so I was trying to show these things, and the videos that I made back then it was just a little, not even a GoPro. I mean, it would have been nice to have a GoPro, but I had just a little 35 millimeter camera. And so I didn't do a lot of direct hands-on stuff like I do now, where I do a demonstration of what I'm working on. I just kind of did, here's what I'm going to fix, and I would work on that, and then I would show what it looked like. And again, that was to try to build up business for the body shop. But still, those videos are pretty useful. And so what I ended up doing, I had about 10 or 11 videos from the 70 fastback. And I decided, all of these videos are spread out and they're only 3 to 4, 5 minutes long. And so I put them all into one. And now you could see the whole set, let's say, and be able to see the start of the car all the way to basically the finish. And that car is still out there. I know the guy who owns it. I met him at a local car show this past summer, and we talked about the car and what we've done to it and all that sort of thing. So it was really, really cool to see that it's still out there and running. And I also added pictures in that video of that car show, so you can see the whole, the car as it is today. But anyway, he actually wants me to do some more work to it. It's a 70 model with a 69 hood scoop, and he doesn't like that hood scoop because it didn't come with that. The 70 never had that hood scoop, or that car didn't come. It didn't come with that hood scoop setup. So he's half tempted to take that back off and redo it, but I think his family is fighting him in doing that because it's been that way for so long, and I don't really think I want to mess with it, to be honest. That wouldn't be very much fun to close up that hood and try to repaint it. But anywho, if you're new, I welcome you to the talk. And basically, what I try to do here is focus on classic cars, and I say that loosely from 55 to 79, 80, something like that. I know there's a lot of cars that were made in the 80s. You look at like the Chevy trucks, the square bodies. They basically ran the square body from 73 to 87. So, there is some gray area there. But the focus being on classic cars and Mustangs, and we try to help each other out and share information. Sometimes people bring up a good question, and I try to give a good answer. If I can, I will. If I can't, normally there's somebody over in the chat box over there that can offer some help. So we've been doing this for a while now, probably a few years, and we seem to have a pretty good group. So anyway, let's see who's here tonight with us. And the first one in is Rick Gain. Miserable day in New Jersey. Hopefully things will start to get better sometime soon. Hopefully. Yeah, once we get past, glad you're here, Rick. Once we get past the winter solstice, days start getting longer again. And maybe this future administration will do away with this time change stuff that we've been doing for too long. There was talk about that happening, along with many other things that I think are a big positive, but we're not getting into that. We're just going to talk about cars. Dave Tyson, good evening all. Evening, Dave. Our first Dave sighting of the night. Usually we have, seems like 4 or 5 Daves show up, which is cool. Travis Holtman, my #1 patron, looking forward to the chat. Evening all, hit the thumbs up and share the video. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. That is something that I have never done. And I have the capability. I'm going to try that. I have, let me see if it'll show that it's available. See, it only, you know what? I can't share it. Normally I can share videos from my phone to like Facebook, but I can't do that. I guess it can only show it if it's completed. Like I can't share that link like to Facebook or something. So anyway, yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Travis. Rusty's Restoration, hello Barry and all from Southern Indiana. Thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Rusty. Whoop, wait a minute. What? Come on, Belle. Ah, there we go. Belle was acting defective. Terry Heathley, evening all, and Barry. Please hit thumbs up and like for Barry, Betty, and Terry, and the cats. Glad you're here, Terry. Robert checking in, the Infernal Craftsman. I don't know if you saw the video he recently posted. Thought it was pretty cool. He talks about his deck lid dilemma, and he ended up going to Golden Star to get the deck lid directly. And so that was pretty cool. It looks like the products that Golden Star sells may be the same as dynacorn. They look like they're the same. I mean, I don't know. If Musqueam GT is the one that makes all the stuff and then distributes it to like Golden Star and dynacorn, I don't know. But he did a good video on that and showed some of their product. Maybe one day he'll get to go back and do a more extensive video if they'll let him. So anyway, Robert's here. Evening all. Beautiful 72 degrees here today. Got to gloat exactly 8 times a year that the weather is actually nice. However, only 50 tomorrow. Well, I wouldn't complain about 50. I know you don't like it hot, but 50 would be pretty good, I would think. Glad you're here, Robert. David, the bowler hat guy, love the thumbnail. Thank you, David. Yeah, that's something I created that thumbnail a few years ago. If you're on some sort of social media and you see these projects, and they'll make it seem like they put this car together in a week, which, the one, whatever it was, the one show with Chip Foose, they were doing that, but they had like 70 people working 24 hours a day for a full week. Well, sure, let's do the math and add up the numbers and see what it really took to do it in hours. But you'll see these other videos of people that'll just, look, we're all done. They don't show you the problems they had or how to fix it. So I always thought that was a good way to look at it. You don't just slap a car together. It just doesn't happen. So glad you're here, David. I don't know if I gave you a bell. I'll give you an extra bell. Jerry, howdy Barry, howdy y'all from cold and thawing out Northeast Ohio. Even though a lot of snow has melted, you can still tell they get a lot of it, and more reason to live in Texas. Okay, I can't argue that. I wouldn't want to live in Ohio. I know that. I grew up in Pennsylvania. Nothing really against Ohio. I just wouldn't want to live up there anymore. And contrary to what Robert says. Okay, gotcha. Hindsight 6-7, Roger. Greetings from next door. Rainy here too, obviously. Is it raining at your house, Raj? Glad you're here. Jerry's Garage, the Money Pit. He said, I know he says, good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Evening, Jerry. Glad you're here. Dave Conville. I think that's the third Dave. Good evening, all, or good evening from a rainy, foggy New Jersey, but no drones tonight. Glad you're here, Dave. And I did see that there was something in the news about all kinds of supposed drones or something. I don't know. Are y'all having an alien invasion of some sort up there in New Jersey? It wouldn't surprise me, New Jersey and all. That's probably a good place for the aliens to go and look at all the oddities. Nothing personal. Don't take that the wrong way. But yeah, I did see on the news or something, there was like all these drones or maybe drones. I don't even know. You tell me. Derek Pro, hi Barry, everyone. Hope all is well. The Cobra Jet is coming along well. Apologies for missing streams. Busy time and making progress on Project 65, getting there. And Derek is checking in from Australia. Land down under, right? Glad you're here, Derek. Troy Justin, good evening all. Things are good in the coastal Georgia area. The car is still in the works. Okay, awesome. That's a good sign. Black GTX, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Glad you're here. Derek Pro, saw the video of the old days in the panel shop. You were always fussy. It's a sickness we have. So many others do it rough and ready. Don't get it. Yeah. Yeah, in that video, like I said, there was some of the stuff that I did. I guess they didn't really have all the products available. At least I couldn't find them because like the toe kick area, where the speaker would go or whatever, it looks like the speaker, it's a vent. But I ended up remaking those by hand because I just didn't have any other options. But the car really turned out nice, so I'm glad you liked it, Derek. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. I hope Iron Man is there tonight. He is. He's supervising. Glad you're here, Richard. Steve Reed. Hello, Barry and everyone. Hope all is well. Don't forget, thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, sir. I want to say Paducah, Kentucky, right? I want to say that. E.J. McConaughey. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, E.J. Glad you're here. Travis, my deck lid looks to be the same as yours. Might weld a peak to it. Yeah, I'm actually just using filler. I get it though. If you want to weld something to that, you can. But ideally, the peak of that deck lid and the quarter panel extensions. There's never, at least in my opinion, there's no reason why you couldn't use filler. It's not that much. Putting a bead on top of the deck lid and welding it on, nothing wrong with that. That gives you a solid foundation, and you can build filler up to it. Not a big deal. I know with everything I've done and everything I've seen done, I mean, I've dug cars out that were rebuilt 30 years ago and still have body filler in them that shaped the top of the quarter panel, the top of the fender, all those things, and it never failed. This modern filler is so much better that I don't have any issue with just making a little bit of an addition on that deck lid. Now, welding a rod on is fine. You can weld that on, grind it, shape it, whatever, add some filler, and it's good to go. There's a lot of times I know people will stress over that, and that's okay. But I've seen too many times where even old Bondo, like generic Bondo from 30 years ago, is still doing what it was intended to do as far as holding up to an edge or anything like that. So your choice. I mean, I'm not going to stop you, obviously. But yeah. Derek, I'm with you. I'm with you there. Serenity for Christmas. That's all I want. Yeah. Yeah. Just that's it. Denny Alvey. Good evening, Barry. Cobra Jet is looking good. Thank you, sir. I'm hoping that the weather is not going to be helpful for a while yet. So I'll be able to take care of all the body work, make sure everything is ready to go, and then stare at it until I get good weather that I can paint. Rallycat Garage Harvey. Hello, Barry. Watching from the garage and building Christmas wreaths with Nance. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Simone is checking in. Hi, Barry and all. Good evening, Simone. I know it's late there in the UK. Ed Cucciarella, I love the older video. Well, thanks, Ed. Appreciate that. You know, that's some of the stuff that I did even then. I'll tell you right now. When I was working at the shop, I was also working full-time at Delta. So essentially working 2 full-time jobs. Now, granted, the full-time at the shop was during the week, and then the full-time at Delta was over the weekend. It was 12-hour shifts. So even though I was considered to be working full-time at both places, I look back and even watch the video, and I'm like, I don't remember doing that. Now, I don't know if it was because I was just so busy doing so many things, because at the time, we were building that car, a 65 Galaxy convertible, another 68 Mustang, and a few other things were in the shop, and of course, all the collision work. So as I worked those cars, I was doing everything. So I was working on the classic cars, doing the collision work, doing frame pulls, and just spinning the whole time. So anytime I made those videos, it was really brief. And like I said, I look back and I remembered that I'd worked on that fender and I'd cut the top of the fender off. But in my mind, I thought I cut off like a little piece. I didn't realize I cut off as much as I did. But for the most part, I don't remember even doing most of that, which is crazy. Jerry, how to recommend to replace the firewall that may be an alignment fit? That's a good question. Now, I know you're fighting with that car. I know you're fighting with your 65. Or 65 or 6, whichever it is. And what Jerry's run into is the car had previous damage, and he had replaced the aprons and replaced the firewall, and then the car got damaged again. And so he's kind of backtracking, and he's removed the full frame rails on both sides, and started to refit them to the car, but he's got a problem with the gap between the firewall and the apron. So I don't know, it's hard for me to look at something and go, here's what the situation is. However, what we might be able to do, Jerry, because I think it looks like you pulled out your steering column, so you've got you got the firewall fully exposed and no frame rails. I'm just wondering if the firewall isn't buckled in and just needs to be pushed back out, because I know you talked about you replaced that firewall, putting it into what may have already been a damaged area, and you may have replicated that in a sense. So maybe we can get somebody like, like Robert has his car that is, I don't think he doesn't have a steering column or anything else in it. We might be able to get some measurements from, let's say, the back seat area or somewhere to the firewall coming through the hole for the steering column, and maybe get some measurements there. I don't know. But we'll have to figure that out. And we might be able to get Robert on here, and maybe he can do something like that and get us some measurements. But I know you got a lot going on, Jerry, with that project. So I'll help out where I can. Troy Justin, I'm repairing my original upper cowl. I tried the one I got from CJ Pony, but it doesn't fit right. I decided to repair the old one rather than modify the new one. I'm done with CJ Body Parts. You know what? Jingle all the way. Okay. Yes. I've been pretty disappointed with CJ. And let me just back up a few steps. So like Mustangs Unlimited was up in Atlanta. I used to love going to a Mustangs Unlimited because I would go in there and I would like hand pick the parts that I wanted, knowing that they were the shape and they weren't damaged or whatever. And I could verify they were stamped correctly, all those sort of things. CJ has been putting out this stuff that is just not to the quality that it should be. And I don't know what's going on. If you go back years and years ago, there was a company called Goodmark. And I've talked about this before. Goodmark was owned by a guy named Mark. I don't know what his last name was, but he had Goodmark. He grew that company on the premise of making the best reproduction parts that he could possibly make. And a lot of those were GM and Mopar. And so he did that. But he got into a point where he needed more revenue. He needed more money. He needed more investment. So he brought on people that invested in the company and helped to grow the company. But then they basically took it over. Like, they voted him out of the company because he was too focused on making quality parts, whereas they were focused on making a profit. They voted him out of his own company, bought him out, basically. And he had a do not compete order for a year. He could not do anything for a year. So Goodmark was a really good company. Now, I'm sure they're still making good parts, but I know I got parts from Goodmark after that, and they weren't nearly as good as the old stuff. They took shortcuts. That's where AMD came in. AMD is owned by Mark, the same guy, Automotive Direct. He went back to the standards that he had in making his parts for Mopars and Chevys and stuff like that. And so Goodmark has become more of a generic kind of company, and I think that is where CJ is headed, or it's where they're at. I've seen too many panels that I get from them, and it'll say dynacorn copy or something like that, and they're not. They're just terrible. So I might order a few things here and there from CJ, but for the most part, I don't even want to get involved with them anymore. So I'm with you, Troy. And Troy says, by the way, it's raining here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least you're on the coast, right? Gig'em Garage, good evening, Barry. Kevin Barth here. Hey, Kevin. I'll try to remember that. It's hard to remember when I get associated with the YouTube name. It makes it more challenging. Rick Gain just shared to a link to the stream in the 6566 Mustang Restoration group. Hopefully get some participants. Okay, thank you, Rick. That would be awesome. Appreciate that. And Steve Reed is saying yes, I'm sure, to my Paducah, Kentucky comment. Dave Conville, plenty of oddities in New Jersey. This drone thing, though, is very odd. I'll send you a video of one over my house. It seems there are many, many drones systematically working in the area every clear night. Now, they're not Walmart deliveries, are they? Because I know Robert did a video, and he shared that Walmart is dropping stuff in your yard. I don't know if it's that or not. But anyway, let me get some coffee. Rick's not showing up. I don't know where Rick is. So, usually Rick Stevenson shows up. I drink some coffee. But he's not here. Michael Pagliarini. Evening all. Evening, Michael. Troy Dressett. Is the Yamaha for your grandson? I got one for mine, and he loves it. Yes. Yep. Let me tell you, that's probably one of the best deals I've ever made. Because I think I talked about it. I went to get this, the little wheel horse tractor from somebody who was selling it off of Facebook, and sitting in a falling down building was that little Yamaha. And I got it dirt cheap. And I fixed it dirt cheap. So now it is running, and it'll start right up. Perfect. And it'll haul me around too, which is really cool. I may use it for camping. David Wright. Wright Guy Garage, Northwest Indiana. Good evening. Barry, what is the size of your paint booth edition? Also, do you like the roll-up garage door? Very good questions, David. I'll give you some specifics. The main shop is 24 wide, 36 long. That's the main shop. The paint booth is now, you look at it sideways, it's 24 long, because it just flows with this same width, right? But since the entrance is on that side over there, it's like long, 24, 14. So the reason for that is whenever I permitted this on my property, you were allowed 900 square feet. That's it. You couldn't have any building, any outbuilding bigger than 900 square feet. So I poured the foundation, had it poured 24 by 36, and I added 14 feet behind it. And I left it open. I didn't do anything with that. And when they came to inspect it, the inspectors were looking at it like, hey, why is this so big? And I said, oh, that's just an area I'm going to park my lawnmower on, and a trailer, and just somewhere to put stuff. And they were like, oh, okay. So technically my whole shop space is 24 by 50. So 1,200 square feet. But 24 by 14 is the paint booth. Now, the roll-up door, and the reason I have a roll-up door is I still do. I come out here at night, and when I work on something, I don't like having the door that goes back over and blocks the lights. So I always wanted a roll-up door for a garage because you don't block your overhead lights. So that's the reason I have a roll-up door. Now, the advantage is because of that, doesn't block lights. The disadvantage is, in my case, it doesn't help with insulation. Like, you can buy a segmented door, regular style door, that is thick with insulation, and maybe it helps keep stuff warm. I don't know. But it's a steel door, and like these blankets I have up here, these are all held on with magnets. Those tool magnets that you get from Harbor Freight. So that's the advantage of the steel door, but that's the disadvantage is it doesn't help keep it warm. And then in the summertime, that is a heat sink because the sun comes up on that side, hits the door all morning, and that door will get up to 110 degrees, 120 degrees, whatever. So it just bakes in here. So those are kind of the drawbacks of the roll-up door, but good questions. Travis, I get it, Barry. I work 2 full-time jobs as well, from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, off on the weekends to put my Mustang together. Awesome. Yeah. It's, I don't miss those days. I'd rather, be here, which is what I'm doing now. But yeah, I did that for a while, and it was just, and the bad part about it, when I was working at the shop doing that, I was working day shift at the shop, and I was working midnight shift on the weekends. So you talk about really just being perpetual spinning top. It was pretty rough. Rick Stevenson, sorry that I'm late, but good evening, everyone. Okay, there you are. I can get this. I can get my second drink of coffee then. Also, in my Steelers mug, they won again. Make sure you cheer for the Steelers. Michael, let me know what measurements you need. I have a 65. Okay. Yeah, what Jerry's trying to do is his firewall. It'd be nice to have some sort of, I don't know what we could use as a measuring point, because I know he probably still has the interior in his car. I don't know if we could measure from the pinch weld for the door where the A pillar or B pillar meets the inner structure, and you've got the pinch weld flange there. I don't know. I have to maybe think of something to try to make those get a good measuring point, let's say. Dade Conville, not delivery drones. It's almost as if they're mapping. Oh, well, that's not good. Bowler hat guy, David, I have a roll up on my garage, but it's more to save rafter space. Yep. I get it. Troy, I don't like my garage door covering the lights either, but it's what I got. If I build a new one, I'll put a roll up like you did. Yeah. I mean, they're very, very handy. Very handy. And I guess they sell some that are insulated, but it's hard for me to invest in a fancy roll up door. So I have this basic setup. Now remember, this shop, Roger helped me put this up. I think it was 90, 95, 94, something like that. Yeah, it'd have been 90. I think it was 94. Put the shop up. Jerry has no interior in the car. Okay. Well, let me just look at something here. And maybe, I know Robert's out in the garage at his shop. I don't know if he would be able to share some measurements or not, but I'll send him an invite, and we'll see what comes up. So, let me see what we have going on here. Derek has sent me some pictures of his 65 project. So let me see if I can get those pulled up. Harvey, I see you sent me a picture. Is that something that you wanted me to share on here? Just let me know if it is. Let me get these couple pictures Derek sent me. So this picture is, let's see if it pops up. That's not the picture I wanted. That's not the picture I wanted. 209. Okay, so here's a picture from Derek, the 65 he's building in Australia. That's pretty nice looking. Pretty nice looking. Let me see if I can get another one here. I see you, Robert. That one was okay. So this is I don't know if Oh, okay. So in the email he sent me, he says, got some mirrors via Kentucky Mustang. Very happy with prices and service. 8 days from door to door. Engine bay came up well with my 20-year-old GM subframe black. Okay, so there's the one of the mirrors from Kentucky Mustang. Let's see if I can get this other one up, the engine bay. Bounce the picture off the satellite a few times. That's not it. Why is it bringing up this wrong picture? Hold on a second. I'll get it. I will get it there. This is it. Sorry about the delay. I picked the wrong picture. So there's the engine bay. Ooh, that does look good. That does look good. That car's going to turn out really nice. I already know that. All right. So I'm gonna upload one more picture here. Give me just 1 second. Takes me a minute to bounce these pictures around. So, Harvey's out in the garage. See if this picture will load, because sometimes it. Here we go. So Harvey's out in the garage, and him and his wife are making Christmas wreaths, and they has the as he says, Tina, Nancy, and Christmas stuff. So very nice. Very nice. Okay. So I'm going to, Derek, I got your email. Let me go back up just a second here. Simone says, Barry, I've been asking around the garages in my city about getting into auto welding. Quite a scary thing to do, my part. They don't expect it, but I did have some good conversations. All right, that's a positive. That's a positive. All right, I'm going to bring Robert on. There he is.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Is the picture any better?
Well, it's still you.
I know. Other than that, the reason I asked is because I finally put that gantry crane together that it's been sitting over in the corner of the shop here for over a year,
Yeah.
and there's a light that was on, not on that beam right there, but on the one closer to me, that it was about that much gap between the light bulbs and the gantry crane rolling underneath it. So I figured it was a good time to take that light off, and now it's up overhead, because this was a dark spot anyway.
Yeah.
So, and if you see a wire hanging over here, that's because I haven't gotten up there to just pull that wire out of the other box.
Okay. Okay.
You know how that goes.
Yeah, I do. So here's a question for you on this. Jerry is struggling with his gaps.
Yeah.
Now,
When you were asking, you were talking about, I went ahead and I measured. If I hold the tape measure, say if I just open the door and I have no interior, but if I go, say, where the dashboard is, let this touch the bottom of the dashboard, keep it level, against the firewall, and all the way back to the edge of, basically, well, the edge of the pinch weld, on the B pillar, it's right about 5 feet. It's almost right on 5 feet.
So you're using the pinch weld as your stop.
Yeah.
And you're going straight ahead underneath the dash where, let's say, where the vent is.
Yeah. So say like this, my arm is the dashboard. I just put stuff under here. I hold it level, bump it into the firewall, and then go back. And it's basically right about 5 feet where it's hitting. Roughly.
But you didn't change your firewall or anything, right? Or did
the only thing I did to the firewall was I did replace part of the bottom half of it.
Okay. So the upper half is where it belongs.
Yeah. The upper half is still original. It's just that bottom half down there that always gets right around where the frame rail was.
Okay. Well, we'll see what Jerry can do with that. I was trying to come up with different ways, different things to measure.
When I was reorganizing the other day, I was going through all the boxes and stuff and just taking a bunch of this stuff off and consolidating parts. and I have a yellow paper that I used that when I went to my friend's to measure his car, that I make a couple of diagrams and put some measurements on there. So I've got to dig that back out of that box.
Yeah.
I'll assuming that's where I put it. There's a good chance that I put it somewhere else that's make really good sense that I won't have no idea where it's going to be. But I think it's in the box, so I will go digging for it if I can find that. At least I'll have some sort of numbers to put out there, for something. It may not be right, but it's something it's a ballpark. It's somewhere to start with.
Yeah, and I'm going to see if I have. I know Jerry had sent me a picture of the gap.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to see if I can pull that up here.
I remember you have the issue with the frame rail being really crooked with the floor support and that big gap there, and because I replaced everything in front of the firewall, including the floor supports, and it's like, well, if your floor supports are where they need to be, the rest of it is kind of a piece of cake. But if your floor supports and other things are not there, it's like, okay, where does that need to level out? You put new pan pieces in there. Well, is that perfect? Is that parallel to the rocker rails? Is it an angle? These things you just don't know unless you have another car to, measure directly.
Right, and that is a difficulty, and that's when I did the Brooklyn Pony, that was one advantage I did have. I ended up with another car that I could measure from, and I know Jerry is fighting with a car that has been worked probably multiple times by different people, himself included. But when you get stuck with a situation, you don't know what's right, and I get that.
And it's like with this, because I had to replace so much. You get to the point where I throw everything on there. I put screws in here and there, and then okay, what works? Where do things want to stay in order for this to line up with that and that to line up with that? And you kind of have to, I just did it where you put everything there. It's like, it might not be where the factory would have liked to been, but with the parts that we have and what we're doing, this is what's got to be to make everything, live and be happy with each other.
I don't know that I can.
And then the unfortunate thing is we can't trust. That's like the locating holes that are in pieces. Say for the original factory you had the pins. You put all these things went on pins at the factory.
Right.
How I have a hard time trying to trust those holes on aftermarket parts, because if a curve is wrong or this is wrong or that is wrong, how do you know that hole is in the right place? So it's like, okay, you think, well, that pin has got to be right there. Yeah, but if the rest of the part doesn't line up, then don't worry about that pin. Make the rest line up.
Right, and that's the one thing I'm trying to stress with Jerry too, and as I've mentioned this many times, I know we all get caught up in the measurements and what's right, what's wrong, but and I can't find that picture to pull it up. My focus is always, how does the sheet metal fit, and what do I need to do to make everything underneath fit the sheet metal? Because at the end of the day, you can't change the sheet metal. You're not going to change the length of a fender or the length of a door.
No. And the thing you worry about is, well, what about the suspension? What about all that? If you're using the stock suspension, that stuff can move all over the place. There's so much adjustment room, it's not even funny.
That's true.
So it's not really, if something is off one way or the other, you're never going to notice it. You won't, because there's just so much adjustment room. And it was a weird suspension to start with, the weird angles and weird arcs. So
yeah, I'm trying to. I tried to download that picture, but it's like a zip file or something, so it's not.
Well, I will go through and look for that paperwork that I've got with the measurements on it. I don't know how helpful it'll be, because like I said, I'll also use it like it's a ballpark. It's something to reference off of.
Right.
At least I know it's like, okay, is this 43 43, right? Is that the ballpark, or should be 45, or should be 42? At least I know, okay, I'm in that zone of roughly where it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, just that one measurement there might help with what he's trying to figure out. And of course, the difficulty is the firewall is not a flat panel. It's got
Hmm.
curves and all
Very,
kinds of
very
stuff
little
going on.
flat
So,
areas. Yeah.
makes it pretty difficult.
And it's on its second crash.
Second firewall.
Okay. So it's probably been,
Because it was wrecked. Somebody fixed it.
uh-huh.
Then he got it. And I think he was trying to fix what they fixed. Put the new firewall in. But it may be in the wrong spot because of what the other people had done. So that's kind of where.
Because you
Well,
don't
I'm
have
seeing-
reference once somebody else has been in there. You don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing too, like I was saying, I was trying to stress this to Jerry. Granted, if the firewall isn't meeting the apron, well, is the apron? Let's assume that the apron's in the right spot,
Hmm.
fore and aft. The fender bolts on. If all that bolts on and the hood shuts and everything else, well, then obviously
Hmm.
the aprons, and it's a one-piece apron he got too. It's not
Mhm.
sectional. So, yes, something has to move
Hmm.
on that, and it may be the firewall.
And because but the firewall, more so from the inside out, it's real easy to pull that towards the aprons.
Right.
It's
And
really
that's-
easy to pull that, and it's very likely when you disconnect that it does tend to pop back in on
Well,
its own.
it may. And the other alternative is take a block 2x4 and just boom, just hit it
Yep.
for where that meet it'll probably move that far.
Yeah.
So I know it's challenging because I'm trying to help. I know and you're trying to help too. But he's up in Tennessee.
Yeah.
If he was next door, I'd have it done. I would know how to help him out. But it's hard.
Yeah.
to,
Trying to do things long distance that you can't see the whole picture and know what's going on. Yeah.
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 Let me get caught up on a couple of these things. So, Derek said Kentucky Mustang had been great for him. 8 days door to door. So from Kentucky Mustang to Australia. I don't know what he paid for that, but
Yeah.
that's a pretty good.
What we're flying to Brisbane now. How far is he from Brisbane?
I don't know.
I don't know what part of
Deliver
Australia.
some parts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
never-
direct flight from here now.
But
and
they
it's
might
empty,
look at
and it's
they
empty.
might-
Nobody's on it. So
they might X-ray your bags and go, wait a minute,
I-
you're importing something
yeah, that would be the question on Australia. I know they are
tight on stuff.
tight
Yeah.
about bringing gifts or anything like that. So yeah, and it's like, and I'm not going to do anything to get in trouble.
Yeah. Troy is saying my X65 has no engine or interior and the original firewall. I just don't understand what Jerry needs. Is front completely disassembled? Yeah, the whole front end is loose on the car. The frame rails are loose right now. They're new frame rails, so he's trying to figure out location on this. So Derek was saying, like you taught us, the whole process has been test fit, test fit, test fit. Yes. Simone says hi to Robert.
Hey, Simone.
And I think she may be gone already.
Oh.
And Jerry says, this guy.
Yeah. No.
Derek says hi to Robert. All right.
Hey, Derek.
Black GTX, nice looking engine compartment, Derek. Yes.
Yes, that is very nice. And what makes me mad about mine is that when I was putting all the stuff on there one day, and I don't know how, I missed one of my screw holes, welding in a screw hole, right on the top of the radiator support. And it's not going to get covered up by anything. So I was like, and it's all nice and okay, I'll have to go back and weld that little bit up and try just to repaint that part of it and hope it doesn't stick out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Steve Reed said he sees you good now.
No.
So, Bob Shoemaker, bit late, but here, yes, nasty weather here in Oklahoma too. Glad you're here, Bob. Jerry is saying, is that measurement?
Just driver's side. Driver's
Driver's
side.
side.
I haven't done passenger side.
Yeah,
yet.
so driver's side, Jerry. Simone says, night all, I'm off to sleep. Okay. And Jerry is also saying the hood gap is, I guess, about ½ inch out.
You're talking about like from the cowl to the hood?
I'm assuming so. And the new frame rails seem to fit the floor supports. Okay.
Well, and that hood gap, I don't know what hood he's using, but it's like now that dynacorn hood I have is the fiberglass one, and it's got a bigger gap than I'd like it to be, and
Right.
it needs to be there for the curves to line up, and it's kind of like on the car that shall not be named. You cut those little curves and it changed them. This being a fiberglass hood, not as easy to do that.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Let's see. Troy says I took the same measurement that Robert took, and I got 5 feet also. Okay.
Okay, that's good to hear.
That's good to hear. So from the pinch weld of the door,
Yeah.
B pillar pinch weld on driver's side, up against the toe kick, let's say, right?
Yeah,
Straight forward.
put her right up under the dashboard,
Under
and
the
then
dash,
and then
straight ahead. So
straight
you're
ahead all the way up.
parallel to the rocker panel,
Yeah.
basically. Okay.
Yeah, as close as you can get with your eyeballing it kind of thing. But if we're both getting 5 feet, that means that
At least that's
we're either both right or both wrong in the same amount.
yeah. Derek says it's been hard to find detailed info. Maybe a J Daddy's Mustang manual needs to be created from body to wiring. I'll only take a 30% cut of the profits. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've talked about the 3D scanning thing before, and those things are getting so cheap now. It's like it would be great to just have a perfect body that is not messed up, totally strip it down, be able to just, I don't know how many hours and I don't have a good enough computer to do it because that would be a massive file sizes to do that. But it would be cool to scan all that in and then have it in CAD and be able to say, okay, from here to here, what is this dimension here? And that way you can kind of, go back and get a few data points that make sense.
Yeah. Travis just pulled the trigger on the MTF full subframe with Mustangs to figure independent. Does anyone on here have one that can give me information on how it went installing it?
No, it's a nice kit.
No. So I've not looked at that. I know I did the on the 66 convertible. I did the Mustang 2 suspension, and I found some minor flaws in how they did things, and I fixed it. But yeah, that's the only thing I have for you.
I think he's talking about the one that's the full frame front to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice kit.
Well, it says full subframe, so I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's that one that's like a full frame for the car.
Yeah.
That kit there. Oh, 2 hours? That's not bad.
2 hours from Brisbane to Derek. So.
Oh, by plane. Okay.
By plane. Yeah, by plane. Jerry, it seems the frame wall is positioned further to the rear, and he says I'm. The fender aprons from the firewall is about 5/8 of an inch. Well, and Troy says he just measured the passenger side, and it is also 5 feet.
Okay.
So there's an easy measurement for you, Jerry. Use the pinch weld, B pillar, forward, hit the firewall. It should be 5 feet. So, let's see. David Baldino. Hey, Barry. Dave from New Jersey. Hope the family is well. Getting ready to install a one-piece floor pan on a 66 fastback. I saw your coupe installation video. Any suggestion besides? Not really. One-piece floor pan, though, that's the way to go. If I ever do another one, that's what I'll do.
Yep.
Should be fairly simple. Same process. Find the plug welds, where all the spot welds are, open them up, get all the junk out of there. Make sure you put some seam sealer down later on top of the pan where it meets the firewall, and just buzz that thing in there. That should be that's the easy way to do it. I'll say that. I would recommend you do that. So just follow basically what I did with the single floor pans, but same concept. All right, so Jerry and Troy and Derek have to go, guys. Wishing all of you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Stay well. Yes.
All right, you too.
Thank you, Derek. And Jerry says thanks for the information. Okay, well, hopefully,
No problem.
that helps him get some of that figured out. But again, as I say, I piece stuff together, hang the fenders, what fits, what doesn't, what needs to move. And I've done that even on the Cobra Jet. I had situations where I had to redo some of the apron and get it to move in the right spot. I know on Jade, I had stuff with the mount holes were not in the right spot. I had to cut them out and put them in the right spot. So
Yeah, because I had issues on the passenger apron more so than the driver's apron on this one, and getting it, and had to do a little, cut, re-weld, and
yeah. Travis says, Barry, wondering if a 6970 has a similar measurement from firewall to pinch weld. Well,
the firewall.
Probably not.
It's a different firewall.
The car itself is bigger.
Yeah.
The body is built different. So I would venture that is probably a longer measurement, because I know the 69 doors are longer. And so, overall, the exterior is stretched. So I think the firewall actually kind of works its way forward a little bit as well. But I mean, it might be 5'4", might be 5'3". I don't know. But I'm not going to be able to measure any of that. Not tonight. Oh, I have an idea.
Uh-huh.
I saw a post that somebody had made on Facebook. It was apparently Global West sells a brace that replaces the coil spring cover. So underneath the fender, you've got the little cover thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Stop.
The pipe one, yes.
Global West sells that.
Yeah.
And somebody was laughing about it, like, "Oh, hey, what can this really do? I mean, it doesn't change anything." But the reality is, it does, because the Global West system changes your index of your upper control arm. It changes the angle, so the bump stop moves aft, let's say, to make it work better. But I got to thinking about that. So on the convertible project, I had put in Mustang Steer front frame rails supports. I took that pipe and welded it to the frame and had it come back and meet the firewall. All it did, sort of, was add some strength to the front frame rail where it met the firewall, which really didn't do much at all.
Yeah, a little bit of
A little bit.
But it's just so far out.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was thinking there needs to be a redesign where you take one of those pipe pieces that Global West has, create a mount point on it, like a stud or whatever, and then have a pipe that you can make that comes down to the front frame rail, connects to that Global West type of deal, and then connects back into X. All right? So now you've got the shock tower tied into...
But you could reuse the front bumper mounts put a flange underneath the front bumper mounts, and slide up underneath there, come up to here. You could do it. You could actually do it as a bolt-on, as a total bolt-on. You'd have to drill some holes at the firewall side.
Yeah, you'd have to figure out
but it could be done.
What you want to do to make the firewall system better.
Yeah.
Because the way MTF does it, they just in fact, they copied what I did. They just put a metal plate on the firewall and then dead end into that pipe into it. So I was also thinking, Dawn had made that 1/8 square tubing to reinforce around there.
Yeah, you tuck into that corner.
Yeah.
Tuck into that corner, and then you could come on the other side of it, put a backup flange on the other side of that came back a little bit, just as a brace.
Yeah.
You could do that up on the cowl as well, just a little piece on there, and just stiffen it up.
You have to drill
a few holes. You have to drill a couple holes, but no welding if you want to do it that way.
You really could do it without welding.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I saw that spider web looking thing, and I'm like, hey, that's a neat idea. Because now you got the bump stop built in. You've got And
Mm-hmm.
that thing had a pretty serious bracket system. Went to the shock tower.
Mm-hmm.
Add into that the cross piece, the Monte Carlo bar,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they also sell the gusseted, like Jerry had on his car, the adjustable uh,
Uh,
braces.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
instead of an
Yeah.
export
Yeah.
brace, you could put adjustable braces in it. Now, what you
Mm-hmm.
don't really need those, but I'm just saying you could put those in
Mm-hmm.
so that you could remove one if you needed to or something. Do some
Mm-hmm.
work without taking the whole thing apart.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if anybody's ever thought of that. Now, somebody probably will take our idea,
Yeah.
just share it and go, "Oh, you know what? This is a great idea."
Because
Um,
I had thought about something just like doing what, not quite that far using that thing, but like using the stock one and like, okay, go from the firewall, the thing that went to the stock one, and then go from the stock one to there. You
yeah,
could do that, but trying to fabricate that whole thing on your own is just, it's a lot of work to fabricate like what Global West sells, to even something close.
it would be, but you could if you would almost have to have somebody make it. Some foreign entity
What
make
what if
that.
what if what if you just left the stock one in place and make it as a cage to go around the stock one? As long as there's enough room in the wheel well outside of that, you could actually do it
Eh,
right over top of that, and that way you can come
You
in from both sides of that
you
and not
could,
have to even mess with that.
but the bracing, the way the Global West system is made, it
Hmm.
has brackets up high and
Yeah,
they come down. It really is a nice bolt-in type of
yeah,
system.
yeah. Because you're not, because what I'm, if you put like what I'm saying on there, well, even if you put you have big hoops that were doing this around it, and you're going to have a lot more flex this way than you would if you just had the shorter ones where
Right,
the bump stops are and
right.
stuff like that.
Now, I would say it's not going to be. It wouldn't be, in my opinion, that difficult to create something similar to what Global West has.
Hmm.
I mean, if I'm doing
Yeah.
a one-off on my own,
Oh yeah.
I could make all that stuff. But I was just thinking about that, like, wow,
Yeah.
this would really add some
Tube bender
structure.
and some flanges and you know.
Yeah. Okay, so I
Hmm.
gotta share this. Tall Red Diesel has bought me a small coffee. Thank you, man. Uh, Betty Keithley says, "Have a nice evening and hug Gracie and Ollie." Okay, thank you, Betty. Troy, just you both are onto something. Yeah, yeah,
See, that's the problem. You put us in a room long enough, we'll design all sorts of things.
yeah. I've had other ideas and stuff that I've never
Well,
never.
but that's like when I told you the other day. You kept bringing up that doing the road course, whatever the parking
Autocross,
lot road course thing, whatever that's called,
autocross.
the autocross thing. I think about that. It's like that could be a fun project. Now, if I could have grabbed one of those bodies the other day and just put it in my back pocket, I would
Yeah,
have had something to start with. But
yeah,
I just couldn't pick it up.
yeah.
It just didn't fit in the pocket.
Uh, C&J Hoyt says, "Hi all, hello." Michael, I also have 5 feet to the B pillar and 56 feet 5 inches from the toe board to the rear torque box flange. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
I'm
talking
trying
about
to visualize
inside.
which one. Yeah.
Inside. Yeah. Okay. We'll see if Jerry can use that one. Jerry says if you add vacuum brakes, the original export brace won't bolt up. So, on a 65, I guess, I'm assuming, because I know on the 68, I added the CSRP, and I didn't use the export brace. I used the regular bracing, but on a 68, it's more open anyway. It's got a
Mhm.
bigger top area.
Well, it's got a different shaped strut tower as well, or shock
Yeah.
tower. It's just a different shape entirely.
C&J, the countertop company should be able to scan a car with their new
Hmm.
way to measure for tops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you look up, if anybody does 3D printing, the company that does, mine's a Creality, and a couple other companies for about $1,000 now. You can buy a 3D scanner that works pretty accurately. Now, obviously, the bigger you get on the item, that's where you're going to run into computer issues where you need a pretty beefy several $1,000 computer to sit there and process all of those little data points. But it's amazing what you can do for $1,000 for those things now and how accurate
Yeah. 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 I guess I really never got into any of that to make it make sense for me. Like,
yeah
I get it. It would
yeah
be a good
yeah
idea.
it really it hasn't been until the past 2 or 3 years that really that all of a sudden it's like these things came out of the blue. It's like, hey, you can buy 3D scanners to do this now,
Yeah.
and they're affordable. And
Well,
one of the things that makes the commercial ones makes a affordable one too.
I think Roger was talking about getting one. So I don't know if he ever did or not. I can't
I think
remember. Uh,
Einstar is the commercial one.
oh, I'm sorry. What?
I think it's Einstar, Einstar. I think that's one, the commercial one.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Roger's my Creality scanner was 350, but the software is giving me fits. Okay.
Yeah, and they have a new one they're coming out with, a fancier one, to try to compete with the commercial one now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing some of the stuff that is out there that what we would have considered commercial level products
Hmm.
now are just not even worth having. In a lot of
Hmm.
things, like that borescope tool that I have.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep.
they're like $120.
And you remember the old manual ones that had the little, you held the thing and had a flashlight in the bottom and that little thing at the end and just a little 90, and that's what you had as a borescope, and you had to look through it, and
Right.
they really weren't very good, but they were a fortune. And look what you can get now for $100.
Yeah.
That's way better than what you were paying, a couple $1,000 for in the past.
You know, I just thought about that because the thing is sitting here and I showed it. You saw it
Hmm.
when I was working on that Durango, and I had that antifreeze leak.
Hmm.
I was like, I'm taking a flashlight and I can't see. I can't. I'm like, you idiot. Pulled that thing out,
Hmm.
set it up. Like, oh, there it is. I found the leak.
I just thought of one thing they need to do add to those for checking for leaks. Put a UV light in it.
Yeah,
So when you're using UV dye, if you could click over to a UV light,
that
and
would
that
be a
way
nice
it's like,
add-on.
okay, well, there's the leak. There's where it's coming from.
But you know what? Could you just attach a UV light to the end of it? Don't make it an option. Make it an add-on.
Yeah, yeah, because it's just a little diode. You could actually make a little thing with two wires, and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
not a bad idea.
a couple dollar add-on to make for it, really.
67 Mustang Restoration. We do scanning at work for something like a car. You really need one with the locating dots.
Hmm.
Otherwise, they lose tracking pretty easily. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. It's beyond my goals. I'm not gonna be able to go down that
It would be
path.
it
But
would be a cool toy.
it would be, and I had somebody contact me recently. Apparently, he lives about 70 miles south of here, and we were just random connection. Really, he follows me on my Facebook page, and so he sent me some pictures of a car he's working on that's a convertible that's like half there, like the other cars that I've done, and he has it on a jig that he made. And he commented, we talked about these things.
Hmm.
Um, he said he wants to come visit me because he really liked what I did with that boat jig.
Hmm.
He said that was pretty smart in the way that I built it, so that you could undo and redo, certain things.
Hmm.
Because he's been building cars for 40 years. He's like, I never thought about that.
What
You know,
what amazed me on that boat jig, it's like the boat trailer was made to fit the car.
fit the car.
Everything just lined up to be like, oh, I need a support here. Well, there's the,
Yeah, there's the center brace.
there it is, just
Yeah.
welded on, and everything's
Yeah.
just lined up.
Yeah, it worked out really well. I'll be using that again soon. Blind Luck Mechanic. I want to say Kevin, right? I want to make sure I'm saying. I think it's Kevin.
I don't even try. I'm so bad at the names.
Super late, but I'm here. Hope everybody's getting something done on those projects. Yes. Glad you're here, Kevin. I want to say Kevin.
I don't know.
Because I know another one pops up earlier, and he says it was Kevin Barth, I believe, and I forget what the name was or what the Gig'em. That was Gig'em Garage. So, sometimes I wonder if I'm losing my mind, but then I sit here and I'm like, oh yeah, that's so and so from United Kingdom, or that's so and so from Kentucky.
If I forget somebody's name, it's me. I'm bad at it.
Yeah, and it's as we all get older, there's things that we remember and don't remember, and I know for whenever I do work on any car, and I always did this even with the aircraft stuff. If I
oh, okay, never mind. I was looking for my other light to charge it, and it
okay.
Up there.
Oh, you left it up there.
When I was getting in the car, I was actually walking around looking for it because I wanted to plug it in and charge it.
There you go. But anymore, whenever I work on something, I have to tell myself like 3 times that bolt is tight, or that's tight. That's tight. Okay, that bolt's tight. I almost need to have like a little flow chart where I can go. Okay, that's tight. Okay, that's done.
You get markers and start marking all the bolts.
Yeah, and then I have to go. Was the black the tight one, or was it silver?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's part of it. A lot of that is the aircraft mechanic in me that's like they can't pull over in the sky. So
yeah.
Oh, Gig'em Garage says he's down the road from Robert in Allen, Texas.
Well, that's not too far away. He's just right exactly on the other side of everything, basically.
Well, I don't have much else going on. So I'm glad we were able to get those measurements. At least Jerry can maybe use those.
And like I said, and I'll see if I can find the paper that I've got the measurements on, and I've got a few files of one pictures online ones I've saved if I can find them. I think they're on this laptop actually, but if I can find those and my paper that I wrote all that stuff down on, at least it's something.
Yeah.
At least it's something to use.
So back to your trip to Golden Star.
Oh yeah.
So that video's gotten quite a few views. Apparently.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean,
I don't know. It's got it's a cool looking stack of bodies in the picture. So I guess.
Well,
it's a good sized facility, and I'm looking down it and I'm thinking Indiana Jones kind of thing.
Yeah, it looked huge. Now, will they let you go back in there and do more of a video?
I think they would. Because the guy that owns the company, when you walk in the front door, you can see through the little glass thing into the office, and they were all really busy doing stuff, and it's just typical commercial, walk in and you're there.
Yeah.
it's everything there.
Well, see, I was confused. I guess I've seen the name Golden Star before.
Mm-hmm.
But I know why I'm confused, because I'm associating it with Golden Legion.
That's one of their lines of stuff, and it's like, and I will say with any company out there, would I use 100% of all their products? No.
Okay.
Because there are certain things that I would use from them, and there's certain things I would use from somebody else. Certain things, because they're give me a second. There's some of their brackets and parts are from one of the companies that makes a lot of the truck parts, IMC,
LMC.
Yeah, CHL. In fact, it's a factory. It's a factory. It's one of the factories over there.
Yeah.
And some of their stuff is really good. Some of their stuff is serviceable. When it comes to like some of the brackets and things like that, it's a serviceable part, but it's not a correct part.
Okay.
So there's that distinction on some of the things. But most of the, like the sheet metal and stuff like that, for most part, I wouldn't have a problem,
Now, do you
getting the bigger
think
pieces.
this is the same stuff that dynacorn has,
Um,
or is it something else, or is it
I
all
think
because
I
like
think
Muscle Car GT makes all that stuff, right?
it's I think it's good from the Mustang stuff. I think it's a mix.
Okay,
I think it's a mix on the Mustang stuff. I don't know for sure, but just from kind of what what the take I get from it, looking at different things, it's kind of the take I get on it because they're not really big into the Mustang thing.
okay,
It's the other stuff that they're big into. So the
okay.
Mustang thing is kind of like, yeah, we also do that
Oh, so
kind of thing.
like AMD builds Mopar first,
Yeah,
then Chevy, and then a
and
few select Ford things.
exactly. And their big thing is the Tri Five sheet metal and the Tri Five bodies,
Okay,
and they do the square body stuff. They've got, they had
right?
several brand new beds in there,
Yeah,
and they have a lot of that kind of stuff. And then in the video, that dump truck nose was actually that's going to Taiwan to be laser
copied.
scanned in,
Yeah.
and I was like, "There's a desire for that." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, in a couple of years it'll be out on the market." Now, I think on that is it might not be a domestic, U.S. domestic, need for it. It may be
What kind of truck was it?
one of those Chevy dump trucks. The ones that had like the tall deck 427s in them.
Yeah,
The older, I forget what years they were.
early '70s.
Could be. I'd have to look it up again. I don't remember.
Okay.
You see them and it's like, hey, that's what that is, and you don't
Yeah.
really pay much attention to it.
Okay.
But my thing with those is that was the goofy 427 tall deck, and they had a gear drive camshaft in it, and those heavy duty engines. And the coolest thing is if you're running a 350 or any others, you get the oil filter for that engine
Okay.
because it was like that long.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was the full length all the way down to the bottom of the pan.
Yeah.
It was almost the same price.
Yep.
But yeah, it was on a pallet, and I was looking at it. It's like, other than a few rust spots, it's like this thing was perfect.
Hmm.
I could not believe that a dump truck front end like that was, other than just peeling paint on the hood and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it was perfect. There was no dings, no
That
dents.
is strange
It
though. Like
was.
there's
It
going to
was
be
I
a
did. I would
demand.
like to know where it came from.
Yeah.
You know. Must have been some off site that just it never got into a building, never got into stuff where it got beat up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's hard to
it was
say.
in impressively good shape. But yeah, they do have a lot of stuff in there, and that's about an hour drive, as long as you don't. Now, if you go during traffic time when
Yeah.
traffic's heavy, uh, 2 hours,
Oh,
three
yeah.
hours one way. I
Okay.
mean,
So Steve says 73 and up on those trucks.
okay, that sounds right. I'm not super familiar with them, so
Travis says my thing with measurements is if I make it the same as your measurements and your car went together okay, then mine should be good. I like measurements. Oh yeah. Well, and Travis, I'm happy to share. I know you're building a '69, so as you know, I have a basically unmolested '69 sitting
mhm.
here that would give a plethora of measurements. So you let me
No,
know what you need, and I can help you out with that.
and that is a good looking car.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
yeah, it's all covered up with junk right now, but hey, it's
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So
It's to make sure it doesn't go anywhere.
yeah, yeah, it's not going to be going anywhere. All right, Travis says he'll hit me up this weekend. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to call it a night. It's been great having you here and talking about some things and getting some measurements and all that stuff. So I hope you have more coming with the videos on your Mustang soon.
Well, the question is my birthday present over here it's an early birthday present. Should I go ahead and use it now, or should I wait, or you know?
Yeah, I can use it now. You got it. Use it. So okay,
All right. I'll see you guys later.
we'll see you. Thanks for being here. All right, that was cool. It's always nice to hear from Robert and get some input on different things, shoot some ideas back and forth, and I'm looking forward to getting more done on the Cobra Jet. I am working on the deck lid, the quarter extensions, trying to get all that taken care of. I do have the right side fender or driver's side fender all bolted up. Still have to do a little body work on that fender. That's pretty good. Not going to be that big a deal. Not as bad as the passenger side, I believe. But anyway, I want to thank y'all for being here. And I plan to be back next Monday at 7. I don't think anything's going to be stopping me from doing it, but we'll plan to be here. And hope everybody is going to make it back. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.